get you to look ahead for us to talk about what is realistic overall in terms of passage and in terms of getting work done. Donald Trump said he's going to get to work first thing in the morning, if not later today, certainly Monday morning. What do you think he'll be doing right away? What should the priorities be, Senator?
The priority should be getting rid of the job-killing regulations that Obama put in place. President Obama, you remember he said he had his pen, he had his phone. He went around Congress and did so many things through executive order. All of the terrible things that President Obama did to the economy can be undone like that. And I suspect that Donald Trump is not going to sit around and rest on his laurels. I suspect that on day one you'll see half a dozen, maybe a dozen regulations repealed. The Senate wants to do the same thing. We're talking about meeting as often as we can, maybe even 24 hours a day, to repeal regulations through something called the Congressional Review Act that allows for a majority vote to repeal regulations. We want to unleash the American job engine and get government out of the way, and we want to see growth like we had maybe back under Reagan's administration.
So in terms of those regulations that you think then President Trump will be able to reverse with his own pen and his own phone come Monday morning, where are those regulations largely? Are you talking about EPA regulations that you think will be a priority for him? What kind of executive orders will we see reversed right away on Monday?
I think the most overbearing and the most numerous of the regulations have come from the EPA. I can't wait to see Scott Pruitt also approved. I think he'll look with a very methodical and very much an intelligent oversight of the regulatory atmosphere. But I think you're going to see a lot of EPA regulations that have gone too far. And the main thing is the liberal left has always scared people and said, oh, there'll be no rules. It has never been about no rules versus regulation. It's been about whether or not the incremental increase in regulation is so draconian that business can't continue to operate. And so really what we're talking about is keeping a baseline of lower regulations that are reasonable but allow jobs to be created. And I promise you, you're going to see a big flurry of this on day one.
Senator, I'm glad you brought up Scott Pruitt and his confirmation probabilities. Let me get you to take a look at what we've seen this last 2 weeks in terms of these confirmation hearings. Some of them quite nasty. Elizabeth Warren attacking a number of Trump's picks. Bernie Sanders sort of belittling in some ways as well. What was your takeaway in terms of these confirmation hearings that we've seen?
Wine, wine, wine. Sour grapes. Get over the election. Let's start working together to try to, get the jobs unlocked and get America working again. But, yeah, I've seen a lot of petulance and a lot of personal attacks, and some of them just, frankly, disgusting. One senator saying, oh, America's not a compassionate nation and we have more childhood poverty than any other country. Hogwash. Travel the world and see how much better we have it here in our country versus India, Africa, Central America, South America, you name it. America has an amazing ability to create wealth, and we have done it for 100 years or more. And for people to say this is the worst place on earth, they are so out of touch, and they're showing themselves to be out of touch with these kind of remarks.
Well, I mean, are they well informed? For example, a lot of the things that some of them have brought up, I scratched my head and thought, well, is this central to what this person is going to be doing? For example, Bernie Sanders, asking Stephen Mnuchin about access to mortgages, and then Elizabeth Warren asking Betsy DeVos, has she ever taken out a student loan? But in a hostile tone. Do you think that they're well prepared and they know what they're talking about the issues at hand?
No, and I think it's looked terrible. I mean, one senator asked Tom Price, whose dad died from smoking and from emphysema, why he had the gall to own a tobacco stock. Turns out that senator also has tobacco stocks in his mortgage, in his mutual funds. And so it's the hypocrisy, the anger, the childishness. We're going to have to try to get beyond the election and really start looking for common ground, particularly with Obamacare, because it's going to take Democrats to vote for a replacement bill. And right now, I'm concerned that no Democrats want anything to do with helping people get more insurance or health care because they're just mad because they lost the election.
Bottom line, do you think these picks will be confirmed?
Yes, all of them will be. Some of them are going to be confirmed by mostly Republican votes. But I think there are a few reasonable Democrats, particularly Democrats who are in states that Donald Trump won by 40 points. They ought to think long and hard before just, being a carte blanche no on his nominations. Because from talking to him, I think he's not afraid to go to their states and let the people in their states know what their senator's doing up here. And that's going to be an important part of replacement, is that Donald Trump's the kind of president who will show up in different states around the country and say, we need replacement and we need your senator to vote for it.
And he reminded everybody last night, you have an election in 2 years. Senator, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.